Hello viewers, my name is Fumi Falana. I am the National Coordinator for Women Empowerment and Legal Aid, a non-governmental organization that defends the rights of women and children in Nigeria. This is our weekly program where we talk and we educate you on your rights and the rights of your children under the laws of this country. Now this last week, we discussed the rights of inheritance of women under the law. There's a right a woman has to inherit the property of her father or her mother upon the death of her parents. But today we will be discussing the right of inheritance of a married woman whose husband is deceased. What right does she have to inherit the property of the husband upon the death of the husband? Now, usually, very common in this country, we find out that upon the death of a man, the woman will be thrown out. The wife is usually thrown out by the relations of the man. And very many times, we discover that this often give so much hardship to the woman and the children of the marriage. But the law applicable in this country, both the domestic laws and the international laws, also respect the right of a married woman upon the death of the husband. Now, if a man dies, the estate is governed by the personal law of the man. But usually, the right of inheritance of the woman, that is the wife of the man that is dead, depends on the type of marriage they contracted. If it is a legal marriage, when I say legal marriage, I mean the marriage under the Act. The one we call one man, one wife marriage. The one we call church wedding. The one we call marriage under the Act. The one we call English marriage. We are still talking about the same thing. All these are talking about the marriage contracted under the Marriage Act. It is expected that when a man dies, under the law of inheritance, the law of succession of the country, a woman is entitled to 1/3 of the property of the man upon the death of the man, if the marriage is a marriage contracted under the Act. That is the law of succession of Lagos State. And we also have the law of succession of Ondo State, Ekiti State, and all other states. Now, specifically, the estate of this man is divided, well, if the estate is divided into 3, 1/3 of the estate belongs to the legal wife, the woman that he married under the Act. If it is a woman that also died, vice versa, the 1/3 of the estate of the woman also belongs to the man. It is the remaining 2/3 that will be shared by the children of the deceased. Now, you will also agree with me, I am talking about a man that dies intestate. When I say a man dies intestate, I'm saying if a man dies without making a will, that is where we talk about the laws of succession that will now apply. Now, if a man dies after making a will, of course, the estate will be shared, will be inherited according to what we have in the will. And the will does not take effect until the man dies. It is upon the death of the man that the will is given life, and people will begin to take their shares as prescribed by the will. Now, the one we are talking about that is that where a man, the man that dies, did not make a will, and this is very common. Where he did not make he forgot, or he inadvertently, or he just decided not to make a will, the law will be governed, the estate, the succession to his estate or to her estate, whichever case it may be, will be governed by the laws of succession of the state. And usually, the marriage that he contracted will stipulate the type of the proportion that goes to the wife. If it is a legal marriage, 1/3 of the marriage, of the estate goes to the wife, and it is the remaining 2/3 that the children will share. Now, if the marriage is a customary marriage, it takes another dimension. Now, if the marriage was not a one-man, one-wife marriage, or the one contracted in the church, or the one you go to the registry to contract, I'm sure you understand what I'm saying. This now, it takes another turn. And we are talking about a marriage that is customary. Maybe just a customary marriage. What the law requires there in the laws of succession is the customary law of the man. In Yoruba land, the customary law of Yoruba does not really allow the woman to inherit the property of the man. The properties of the man are usually inherited by the children. And this is what we call here in Yoruba land, we share it according to Ori Ojori. In those days, it used to be Idigi, the Digi, that is wife by wife. That's why you have like 2, 3 wives. The property will be shared into 5 portions. If you have 5 wives, into the number of wives that you have. But these days, it has been said in Damole's case, that it is better to share it at Ori Ojori because no child is higher or bigger than the other. So Ori Ojori, that is, every child will be entitled to her portion or to his portion. Like I said last week, both the male and the female children are entitled to the estate of their father in equal proportion. But the wife of the man has no right of inheritance under the Yoruba culture. It is the children that can inherit the property. And that is why the children, the wife says, I am sitting with my children in this man's house. That is the concept under the customary law, because it is believed under the customary law that the rights of inheritance only belongs to the children and not to the wife. Now, going to the eastern part. In the eastern part, of course, a woman does not have a right to inherit the property of the husband. And it becomes more terrible for a woman in the eastern part who does not have the right to inherit the property of her husband, where she does not have a male child. Where she does not have a male child, unfortunately, because her female children can also not inherit. And so it becomes what we call a multiple problem in her hands. She, as a woman, cannot inherit the property of the husband, and the property of the husband, which should be inherited by the children, only the male children can inherit. And that is why in that part of the country, people struggle to have male children. But we have also told them that a woman or a girl child is as good as a boy child. And any culture that discriminates between a woman and a man in inheritance, in succession, in any policy, is inconsistent with the constitution of the country. And it is null and void to the extent of the inconsistency. Now, in the under the Islamic law now, under the Islamic law, when a man dies, a woman is entitled to 1/3 of the property of the husband. And if it is the woman that dies, the man is entitled to one quarter of the property of the husband, and the woman is also entitled to the woman is entitled to 1/4 of the property of the husband upon the death of the husband. And upon the death of a woman, a man is entitled to half of the property of the wife. We also see discrimination in that aspect of the law, but that is the Islamic law. But under the Islamic law, a woman can inherit the property of her husband. And as a matter of fact, under the Islamic law, a man is expected to also give gifts to the woman and to also see to the welfare of the woman even while he's alive. And so upon his death as well, she is entitled to 1/4 of the property, and the remaining will be shared by the children. And like I said last week, in sharing the property under this law, the female child takes half of her brothers. That's under the Islamic law. The female child will take half of the portion her brother is taking. Now the wife takes 1/4 of the property of the man. And if it is the wife that dies, the man takes half. So we also see discrimination in the right of inheritance under the Islamic law. But the fact remains that a woman is entitled to inherit the property of her husband if the type of marriage contracted is a legal marriage, the marriage under the act. She's entitled to 1/3 of the property, and nobody can chase her out. It is the remaining 2/3 that will be shared by the children. If it is an Islamic marriage that is contracted, the one we call nikah, she is entitled to 1/4 of the marriage, and nobody should chase her out and disinherit her. If it is a customary marriage, under the Yoruba law and custom, she is not entitled, but her children can inherit. If it is under the Igbo native law and custom, she is not entitled to inherit the property of her husband, but her children can inherit. Under the Igbo law and custom, it is only her male children that can inherit. And that is why people struggle in the eastern part of this country to have male children. But upon all, the CEDAW, that is the Convention to the Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination Against Women, has specified that it is the right of a woman to inherit the property of the husband as well as the matrimonial home. The matrimonial home of the man belongs to the woman, and so upon the death of a man, nobody should chase out the woman. She has the right to that home where they were living and to the property of the husband. She also has the right to the custody of her children upon the death of her husband. I want to therefore remind you, if you have been disinherited or you have been chased out of your husband's estate upon the death of that man, please, you have a right of a day in court. You can file an action in court, and the court will support you. The court will bail you out, and the court will take you out of the mess. Upon all this, I want to remind you that peace is necessary in the home, peace is necessary in the society, and so in dealing with ourselves in the issue of inheritance and right of succession, we should remember that we must give peace a chance. Until next week, I want to wish you well, and I say this is Funmi Falanan, the National Coordinator for Women Empowerment and Legal Aid. Our organization has a passion for the rights of women in Nigeria, children in Nigeria, and if your right is being violated, please do not hesitate to report to any non-governmental human rights organization in your environment. I want to wish you well, and I say God bless you.